Before we get into this story, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more real-life betrayal stories like this. That Thursday morning, I walked into the office with a tight knot in my stomach, the kind that creeps up when something feels off, though you can't quite name it. She had kissed me goodbye as usual, but the hug lingered a little too long, her eyes flicking toward her phone on the counter. There was a scent clinging to her jacket, floral, sharp, unfamiliar. I tried to shove the unease aside. Work was busy. Deadlines, clients, meetings. I told myself it was nothing, just paranoia. Still, a tiny alarm bell was ringing in the back of my mind. By mid-morning, the first cracks began to show. She left her phone unlocked on a kitchen table, and a notification blinked. "Can't wait to see you tonight." A face blowing a kiss. My heart froze. I glanced just enough to see the sender. Her boss. My mind screamed denial, but my gut nodded. I looked away, pretended to focus on emails, yet all I could see was her name on that screen. At work, everything seemed normal on the surface. Phones rang. Keyboards clacked. People murmured. Office noise buzzed in the background. But I couldn't hear any of it. All I could think about was her, the message, the creeping realization that I'd been sliding blindfolded towards something I didn't want to see. A colleague walked by and mentioned she'd taken a last-minute business lunch. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but now those words repeated in my mind. Business lunch. Business lunch. The following week, the subtle signs stacked up like bricks on my chest. She answered calls in hushed tones. Her words clipped. Excuses flung at me like shields. Just a meeting. Nothing to worry about. Work stuff. She brushed past me in the hallway with distracted smiles that never reached her eyes. And the perfume. Every time she came home, it was stronger, sweeter, foreign. I tried to convince myself I was imagining it. That love had made me paranoid. But that Friday, I couldn't ignore it any longer. I followed the tug of anxiety to the office after work, claiming I needed to drop off a forgotten document. My pulse thundered in my chest. The office was almost empty, the hum of fluorescent lights echoing. And then I saw them, not hidden, not in whispers, but right there in the main workspace, laughing together, hands brushing, leaning closer than professional distance allowed. Then he said it, the words that hit me like a bullet. "I can't wait for you to be mine." And she laughed. The real blow came the following week, at the company's quarterly meeting. The conference room was packed. Everyone seated around the long, polished table. She walked in radiant, smiling. I sat at the far end, pretending to focus on the presentation, but my eyes couldn't leave her. She went to the front, and my heart sank further as he, her boss, joined her. The air thickened. Then she cleared her throat, hand brushing his, and in that deliberate, cold tone said, "I have something to share. We're engaged." The room erupted. "Congratulations," applause, murmurs. People smiled. "Hug her," shook his hand. And I sat frozen, the world narrowing to the space between us. Blood drained from my face. My hands clenched under the table, nails cutting into my palms. Every cheer, every laugh, every smile felt like a knife twisting in my chest. She had chosen a stage and audience for her betrayal, right in front of everyone I trusted, everyone I loved. I wanted to stand, scream, demand answers, but my voice was gone. I remembered all the nights we'd stayed up talking, the quiet dinners, weekend trips, promises whispered in the dark. And now it was all a lie, a performance in front of strangers, while I was supposed to be her husband. After the meeting, I confronted her in the parking lot. My hand shook as I grabbed her arm. "How could you do this? In front of everyone?" I whispered, though the rage in my chest could have shattered glass. She looked at me, eyes wide, a flicker of guilt maybe. But then she smiled, a real, unashamed smile. "I'm sorry, but I can't lie anymore. I love him. I feel alive with him in ways I never did with you." Her words were precise, cold, rehearsed. It wasn't about me anymore. It was about her thrill, her desire, her ego. My world quietly collapsed, not in chaos, but in the silent realization that she created a life, a story, from which I had no part. She didn't hide it. She flaunted it. And the truth wasn't just infidelity. It was her priorities. She didn't love me enough to protect our marriage, didn't value the life we'd built, didn't fear shattering me publicly. The drive home blurred into one long haze. I couldn't focus on the road, the lines, the red lights. All I saw was her laughter in that conference room, her hand in his, the stunned faces of my coworkers, the betrayal in every cheer and clap. I replayed our years together, searching for when I missed the cracks, when her affection had become performative. That night, I went through her messages, every hidden chat, every deleted thread, a slow, painful excavation of the life she had built outside our marriage. Dinners I thought were work events, trips claimed to be conferences, endless nights of texting and flirty calls. It all made sense now, the distance, the coldness, the excuses. Knowing didn't ease the pain, it sharpened it. I realized my love had blinded me, made me gentle where I should have been cautious, trusting where I should have been wary. Even in heartbreak, I understood something crucial. Betrayal isn't only about the other person. It's about what you allowed into your life, the truths you ignore for comfort or love. Weeks later, I moved out, quietly, without shouting or crying in front of anyone. I left with dignity, carrying heartbreak and the clarity of self-respect. I watched her from the curb as she embraced him in front of her colleagues, smiles and laughter like a cruel curtain closing on the life we shared. It hurt. It hurt more than words can capture. But in that pain, I found clarity. I understood that love can coexist with betrayal, that people we trust can fail us publicly, humiliatingly, and sometimes the only way to survive is to walk away with your head held high. In the months that followed, I rebuilt my world from fragments of what I thought I knew about love. I learned to trust cautiously, to listen to intuition, to notice subtle signs of deception. She chose spectacle over honesty, excitement over our marriage, revealing the stark truth of her character. I still remember that conference room, applause echoing, the weight of betrayal pressing down. And I know now, painfully, that love isn't always enough to save a marriage, that trust is fragile, and the person you thought you knew could be a stranger in disguise. The final sting is knowing I loved someone who never loved me back enough to keep our vows. But as I close this chapter, I carry the lesson forward. Love fiercely, yes, but never at the cost of your dignity. Betrayals are loud or quiet, but all leave a mark. Mine was public, cruel, and humiliating. But in the aftermath, I discovered something she could never take: the ability to rise whole from the ruin she left behind.